once Trump fired Comey, over 130 Democratic Congress members demanded that there needed to be an investigation, because you couldn't just leave all of this smoke around and not go put out a fire. So this is why Mueller got appointed. Now, here's some basic conclusions from the Mueller report, because I remember back then everybody saying, oh, there's nothing, it's a great big nothing burger. Not so. Au contraire, mon frère. Not so. All right, but to summarize it up, the Mueller report found that the Russian interference into the 2016 election was sweeping and systematic. Many members of the Trump campaign attempted to benefit from this in potentially illegal ways. There were actually 34 indictments. Now, the report also suggests that there were 10 episodes where Trump may have obstructed justice directly in the pursuit of this information while president, and one before he became president, and that he attempted to control the investigation. Now, before he even got this report, William Barr had decided not to pursue an obstruction of justice charge against Trump. And then he put out this letter that misrepresented what the Mueller report said, and then he had a 90-minute press conference before the hearing with the Senate and I believe it was like the Intelligence Committee, basically the one where the questions could be asked, where he sort of started to just twist what was said. It was, oh, no collusion. It was even it was in the newspapers, no collusion. But none of that is what Mueller was even allowed to point to, because collusion is not a term that is used to press federal charges. They use conspiracy or coordination. So all this harping about there was no collusion, yeah, because that's not what they call it. Okay, now, but when it comes to the issues of coordination or conspiracy and those legal implications, he had more to say. But he also was in a bit of a strange position. Now, what Mueller said is that Russia interfered in several ways. They had a social media campaign where they were trying to just put Hillary Clinton in the worst light ever, to either support Bernie Sanders or Trump, and then they sort of settled more on Trump as he became the Republican nominee, obviously, and Clinton became the Dem nominee, and basically to poison the waters against her, like pretending to be Americans and talking all this smack about Hillary. She's not perfect, I know. Then they did the hacking into the DNC and the DCC's computer networks, and then they handed that information over to WikiLeaks, and then lastly, the documented 140 contacts between Trump or 18 of his associates with Russian nationals and the Russian representatives at WikiLeaks. All of that he was able to point to as the ways that Russia interfered in the 2016 campaign. Now, he drew no final conclusions about collusion for the reasons that I shared, but he said that there was a lot of unanswered questions. He didn't think he had enough legal evidence to say coordination, but he also didn't have enough legal evidence to say there was no coordination, because many of the people that he tried to get information from, they wouldn't provide it. It was claimed as confidential information or executive privilege, which they spent years fighting about who had executive privilege to hide this or that other thing. In fact, resulting in some people just going to prison because they just wouldn't share what they knew after their long nonsense that they sort of drew out, where they could have just gone and given the deposition, but nope. So listen, it was we can't say that there was coordination or not. And a big part of that comes from the potential obstruction actions of Trump. Now, why wasn't Trump charged? Well, that's because he didn't think a sitting president could be charged because of a 2000 ruling that said that was exactly impossible. So why would you bring charges against someone who couldn't be prosecuted? In the end, he also said, but once he leaves office, he could be prosecuted potentially, or this could be investigated further. And he also said, when it comes to the charges of obstruction of justice, I think Congress could go look into that and make that ruling, but I don't feel at liberty to do so. But what did we hear in the news? No collusion, no crime. Great big nothing burger. Bullshit, people. Bullshit. So at this point, no one has been able to disprove the information in the Steele Dossier. Steele thinks about 70 to 90% of it is accurate. And Igor Danchenko, his primary source, says 100% is. But none of it, even if it can't be proven, has been disproven. So remember that the next time someone calls it fake.